Power BI, the beginner's guide. Today we're going to take a look at custom tooltips. We're going to show you how to create a custom tooltip. Of course, tooltips, you have the built-in option and you can add data into those tooltips. We're going to show you how to create a specific detailed tooltip page that's customized, and you can add a couple of different options, charts. You can add some multi-row KPIs. You can add some KPI cards. We're going to show you how to connect it to a visual. You can pick and choose the visuals you want this custom tooltip to be on, and we're going to show you this in Power BI. Back in Power BI, once you get to the report view of your data preparation and you are starting to finalize the report for the end user, one of the things you're going to want to do is set up tooltips. Now, your basic tooltips are in the data preparation, and when you click on a visual, you get the option at the bottom, which is called tooltips. And you can build these tooltips and add data to the tooltips. This one has the manufacturer tooltips. The current tooltips on this one does not have any tooltips. We're going to show you how to build a custom tooltip, which allows you to add visuals from the data visualization category. The first thing we're going to want to do is create a new page. And we're going to rename this page Demo Tooltips. And you can name it tooltips, you can name it product tooltips, whatever you want to put into the tooltips. Again, you want to name your pages so that people that are looking at your reports know what this page is about. Now, under the page options, you get a standard page type, and that's what it defaults to when you create a new page. But your other options are tooltip and drill through. And we're going to be creating a tooltip page type. So when you select this tooltip, the page size changes. And the name of the page is called Demo Tooltips. The page type is Tooltips. So now what we're going to do under the Canvas settings, it defaults to a tooltip page size, but you can change this to a custom size. And whatever size you make this, that is what your page tooltip will be. Now it defaults to 240 by 320. We're going to change these settings to a 225, and we're going to change the width to a 425. And you can make this whatever size you want it to be, but we're going to go with the height of 225 and the page width of 425. And then the other option we're going to change on this is the background. And we're going to change the background to white 60% darker, which is this darker gray. What this allows you to do is just to get those visuals to pop a little bit more when you are setting up your tooltips and are actually using your tooltips. So now we have the page named, we have the tooltip as the page type, we've created a custom size, 225 by 425, and now we have a background color of the dark gray. So now from your data visualization gallery, you can start to bring in your different visuals. So the first one we're going to bring in is a multi-row card. And all you need to do is select that, and that'll pop into your tooltip. And then we're going to build it out just like a normal visual. So we want to add the percentage of growth. Then we want to add the bar. We want to add previous year sales. And we want to add the sales measure. And we're going to resize this so that it goes horizontally going down. So from horizontal to vertical. Now we're going to start to change the options. And this is just like a normal data visualization. So currently we have the callout values. We're going to make them bold. And for the category labels, we're going to make these more of a white so that they pop a little bit more. And We're only going to make those two changes. And now we have the multi-road card settings. Now we're going to add another visual, a clustered column chart. And we're going to add this to the visual. We're going to make this a little bit wider. And we're going to build this out just like we normally would do. The first thing we're going to add is to the x-axis, we're going to add a category. And then to the y-axis, we're going to add sales. So now we're going to start to create this visual. We're going to make some changes to the x-axis. We're going to make the values. Currently it's a gray. We want them to pop a little bit more. We're going to make it black. And the y-axis, same thing. We're going to make this from a gray to a black. So now you can read that a little bit better. And for the columns, we're going to make this a gold. So now this is just like a normal visual. We have our multi-row card and we have our clustered column. And we can use this now as a tooltip. So the final thing we need to do is go back to our page, back on the market analysis market share page. We currently have this default tooltip on this visual. This visual is selected. When you hover over it, we currently have the default tooltip. Now to connect our custom tooltip, we are going to go to the properties section and we are going to click on report page. And the page we're going to choose is the demo tooltips. This is the page that we just created that is a demo tooltip. And when we select that, now when we hover over this visual, watch how we have our custom tooltip applied to this visual. And there is our custom tooltip, which shows the sales by category on the clustered column chart. And we see the growth and all of our metrics that we wanted to see in this chart. And currently hovering over and looking at your tooltips. Now, if you're preparing this report for somebody else and you don't want that demo tooltips page to show, all you need to do is right click on the demo tooltips and you can hide this page. So when you publish this report, this demo tooltips now is hidden to the report user. But when you go back to this, even though it's hidden, the report tooltips still shows when you hover over that visual. So you can create multiple custom tooltips. You can put them on different visuals. A lot of similarities to the bookmarks. This is just a way to personalize and get a little bit more in depth with your customized tooltips in Power BI. Power BI learning series continues. This time we're going to take a look at the drill down feature, which is in Power BI. We're going to show you how to turn on the drill down, how to turn it off, and some examples. As a Power BI data builder, you always want to make your models so that people, when they're going through the data, they can answer the business questions. And the drill down feature allows somebody to drill into sales or page views and see additional data in case they want to do an investigation on why sales are up or why sales are down, what's contributing to a number. And by turning on the drill down feature, they can quickly drill down, find an answer, and then drill back up, and it doesn't take any more additional space on your report. So we're going to show you the drill down feature, all part of the Power BI learning series. Let's go to Power BI. Back in Power BI, learning Power BI 2023, we continue along with our data visualization. This time around, we're going to take a look at the drill down feature, and this feature allows you to drill inside a category and see the different segments without adding additional visuals to your page. If you have never renamed a page, we are going to show you how to do that. Right click and you will rename the page, and we're going to name this page Drill Down. We now have a page named Drill Down. This data set has 5 different data tables. We have a date table, geography, manufacturer, product, and sales. This is set up as a one-to-many relationship. And what we want to figure out is our sales by category. And if you go to make a visual and you bring in and start to work on this visual, first off, you're going to add your x-axis. And from the x-axis, we are going to bring in our sales measure. So that is our sales on our x-axis. Now for the y-axis, we are going to go to our product table and we are going to select our category. So now we see in this data set that our highest selling category is urban. And urban, rural, mix, and youth have the highest sales. And currently, this is sorted by sales. If we wanted to sort by category, we could do that, but we're sorted by descending and we're sorted by sales. Now, if you are in a meeting and somebody asks you the question, what is the biggest segment of our urban? With this one visual, you wouldn't be able to answer that question. So what you can do under your y-axis is add a second layer. And we're going to add the segment. And the segment will now go underneath the category. And if you noticed, we now have access to the next level in the hierarchy. And we also have expand all down one level in the hierarchy. And we also have this button now called Drill Down. Click to turn on Drill Down. So currently this is off. And if I want to see the segments of this urban and I click on this, I don't see anything. It just highlights the urban segments. But when I click on this drill down button and I click on urban, now I see that the top performing segment for urban is convenience, then moderation, then extreme. And if I click this up arrow, this goes back up to the category segment. Now, if I want to see how our sales are for the rural and the drill mode is on, you just click on that. And now I see that all of our sales are coming from productivity and the select segments. So this starts to tell us a little bit more about our data. Maybe you're in a meeting and somebody wants to verify that that's correct. Somebody says, yes, we have a lot of productivity sales. So now we have this visual, we can drill up. So there's one example of a drilling up at 2 different levels. So the next example is we're going to create a clustered column. So we're going to click on some blank area. We're going to click on a clustered column chart. And now we're going to take a look at the geography of this. And we're going to go back to our data series and we're going to add some data. First off, on the x-axis from the geography table, we're going to add the country. And for the y-axis, we are going to add the sales. So currently we're looking at our top performing countries by sales. This is sorted by sales and descending. So USA has the top amount of sales. But if we want to know which states in that country, we currently do not have that. And if you notice, we do not have any of those drill down functions in this chart. If we add the state, that is our next level of hierarchy. So now you see this drills down. Now we're going to drill back up and we are going to sort this axis by sales, and we are going to sort by descending. So now we have USA, we have our drill down features, and we're going to add another level. So now we're going to add we've got the country and the state. Now we're going to add the city. So with the drill down off, if you click on USA, nothing happens. It just filters out the USA from the other sales. But when we turn, if you notice, when we turn this on, now when we click on Country USA, we see all of the states. And all of the states goes into this next category. So what we're going to do now is apply this drill down feature only to the visual that we are working on. So we will select the selected visual. So now this first visual will not be impacted by any of the drill downs. If we want to drill down further, we can go from the state to the cities. Now there's a lot of cities in the United States that have sales, but we see Houston, Texas has the most amount of sales, $10 million, $682,857. Now if we drill back up, it brings us up to the state level, and this brings us back up to the country level. The drill down is still on. So now if we want to see Australia sales, we can drill down and we see the top selling states in Australia. And this did not change because we have this applied, the drill down features, to just the selected visual. But now we see New South Wales has the most state sales. And we can drill down again and see the cities, and we see Sydney has dramatically the most sales in Australia. And if we drill back up, we go up to New South Wales, and that is the state level. And if we drill back up again, we go to the country level. Another way of looking at this is expand all down one level in the hierarchy. So we're currently at the country level. If we click the drill down one level, then it brings us down all of them by all of the different states. So not just Australia, we have USA, and we have USA, and then California, and then we have Australia and New South Wales. So you can drill down all the way down in that category. So we'll drill back up to the country level, and you can turn this on and you can turn this off, or you can even do some filters on this visual. And if we wanted to take a look at that, we can do that as another way of filtering out. But that is the drill down feature. Again, we did two different types. We did a two level hierarchy, and then in the states we did a 3-level hierarchy. This is turning on the drill down. Unclicking that is clicking it off. If we have it on and we go down to the next level, that would be the state level. To get that back up, we drill up, and that brings us back up to the country level. Continuing to learn Power BI, our Learning Power BI series, that's a look at the drill down function in Power BI. The Beginner's Guide to Power BI, and today we're going to take a look at conditional formatting. Some of the options have changed in Power BI over the last year. We're going to show you how to conditionally format, take a look at some of the options. Remember, when you are conditionally formatting, you're always trying to get the data easier to digest for the user. It's always want to think about that 5-second rule. Can they understand the graph, the chart, the visual in 5 seconds or less? Then that way they can spend more time on the data and what it means and what type of insights they can gather out of that chart, whether it's a visual bar chart or conditional formatting can help with that as well. So we're going to take a look at this series continues, conditional formatting in Power BI. Back in Power BI, we continue along with the beginner's guide, and today we're going to take a look at conditional formatting in Power BI. Now, it works very similar for those of you who have ever worked in Excel. You have a conditional formatting option, and some of the different options you can do in Power BI allow you to do some background colors. You can use data bars, but we're going to take a look at the conditional formatting options. The first thing we're going to do is go to your visual gallery, and we are going to create a table. We're going to create a table, then we're going to go into some of the Power BI options for conditional formatting. We're going to start off, we're going to make this table a little bit bigger so you can follow along, and we're going to add some data by building out this visual. The first thing we're going to do is add a product name. So we're going to add the product, and then we're going to add a couple of measures so that we can conditionally formatting. So we go back to the options, and on this visual, we're going to bring in a couple of measures. One is going to be previous year's sales, and the second one is going to be sales for the current year. So you do need to have some numbers. It works best to have some conditional formatting. Now, this is thousands of parts, and I don't want to have that many parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and filter the sales, and I want it to be less than 50,000. And this way we can kind of have it more of a controlled number so you can see some of the different options that you get when you do some formatting. So now we have previous year sales, we have sales. Don't forget that the order that they appear in the table is based upon where you have them in the data buildup. So if you want sales before previous year sales, just drag it above. You'll see this little highlighter, and then now you'll have your sales before previous year sales. So that's an example of how you can learn and kind of control your table matrix. So now we're going to build out the visual. And the first thing we're going to do, it gives you all your different options in the table for this visual. And you are going to be focusing in on, we've got the values, and we're going to make those a little bit bigger so that you can see them. So we're going to make those 10 point. Let's actually go up to 12 point. So now we can make it bigger for you to read. And on the specific column, this is where we're going to start to conditionally formatting. So if we want to work on sales, we've got three options. We've got the product category, we've got the sales, and the previous year sales. So when we click on sales, now we can start to work on the cell elements, and we're going to work on the background color. Now the background color defaults to the conditional formatting, and the FX button, when you hover over that, the conditional formatting, make this property change under the different conditions that you define. So that is the default background color. But if you want to change those colors, you have some different options in the conditional formatting. The first one is the format style, and it defaults to a gradient. And what it does there is you have your lowest value and you have your highest value. And it defaults to kind of a red and a blue. And it diverges in the middle so that you get darker. Dark red means a low color. A dark blue means a higher value. So first thing we're going to do is change the colors. If you want to change the lowest value, let's say you want a light gold, and we can change the highest value to a dark gold. We can do that. And if we click OK, now that will make the change. So that's one way of changing your conditional formatting from the default. Now, if you want a little bit more pop, you can also add a middle color. So let's say in the middle, you want to have it more in the middle of the gold. So now you've got a gold in the middle, darker gold, and let's say we're going to go to the beginning will be more of a white. So that way your lower colors are a white. You make that change. So now the lower values are white, the middle colors are a lighter yellow gold, and then the darker colors are a gold. So we're going to go back again, and we're going to take out the middle color. We're going to focus in on the light to dark, and that is the first example of a gradient style of conditional formatting. Now you can also make a rule-based background color. So if we want to apply a rule on the sales, if the value is greater than 25,000, we can type in 25,000, and then you've got your options, percent or a number. So now we're going to change that. If it's greater than 25,000 and less than 100,000, we want to change that to a blue. So anytime the sales are greater than 25,000 or equal to, and less than 100,000, it's equal to blue. So now if we hit that OK button, now it's going to highlight all of the values that fall into that rule. So there's an example of a rule-based conditional formatting. We have created the first rule based on sales, and we've ended up with a rule, and now we can work on the previous year's sales. So now we're going to go to our drop down, and on this we have sales, previous year's sales, or product. And if we want to change the previous year's sales and then add on a conditional formatting, by turning that on, it defaults to the red and the blue. So again, we're going to work on the gradient, previous year's sales, and we're going to have the minimum value for the previous year be a lighter blue. And we're going to have the maximum value be a little bit darker blue. We're going to not add a middle color, and it's going to apply to the values only. So now that changes the previous year's sales. And that is how the conditional formatting works for the background color. Now, there are other options that you can apply to the cell elements. You could change the font color, and that defaults to a red. You can turn that off. You could add data bars, and the data bars, again, if you want to go in, a positive bar is blue, a negative bar is red, and we can change the bar direction from left to right, or you can go from right to left. So if we want a positive bar to be a gold color, we could do that and change that on the prior year sales. We could go back to the cell elements, and we could go to the sales, and we could add icons. So your icons could be any number of icons. You've got different styles. You can choose from arrows. You can choose from green to red. You can have arrows. You can have flags. So there's lots of different options under the conditional formatting. And this is where you're going to start to, this is the final step of your Power BI report. Remember, step 1 is to import your data. Step 2 is to clean up your data. Step 3 is to make your calculations. Step 4 is to start to build your visualizations. And then when you're doing your report view and finalizing your visualizations, that is where you're going to add some of the different options. So for now, we'll turn back off these icons, and we'll hit OK here, and we'll turn those off so they turn off. So that is a look at conditional formatting. It's part of the beginner series of Power BI. Make sure to watch our other videos. We've got videos on drill down and drill through, also custom tool tips as we continue on in our Power BI series. Power BI, the beginner's guide. Today we talk about the drill through feature. And this feature is when you're in the last stage of your report building, you've created all your visuals, you're starting to design your report, and what a drill through filter allows you to use the drill through, and you can drill through and have a page that specifically goes to a type of data. And in this example we're going to look at here, the drill through feature is some country view data. So that way if somebody wants to see a specific country, the report can be set up by the report maker so that the person going over the data can drill through right to that country data. Let's take a look at the drill through filter. We're going to do it in Power BI. Back in Power BI, today we are going to show you how to do a drill through filter. And in our Van Arsdale dashboard in a day final report, we have a market share page and we have a manufacturer page. And one of the things you want to set up when you are building Power BI reports is the ability to filter down and filter through to see all of the data for a particular data set. And in this example, we want it so that when somebody clicks on a country, the entire view on this manufacturer page goes to all of that selected country data. In order to do that, you need to use a couple of page view functions, and we're going to show you, if you have not been familiar with the view feature in Power BI. The view feature is where you start to set up some of your different data panes. And currently we have the data pane showing. If we want to turn off that data pane, we click on data and the data pane disappears. To get that data pane to appear again, you click on data. The second one we want to do is for formatting. And if you want that to appear, that will show up as the format feature. And another feature you can add is the bookmark feature. So this just shows you some of the different views that you can see. So back to the data view, if we want to see the filter pane, we can also expand that by adding in that. And then you have your pane switcher, which you can always show that pane switcher, or you can move to build a visual into a pane switcher. So there's lots of different options with the view, but we're mainly going to focus in on is the data format this time. And then we're also going to use some of the different filter views. The first thing we want to do is go to the manufacturer page. And what we are going to be doing now is go to the page information. And the name of the page is by manufacturer. And there's 3 different types of page types. You have your standard page, you have a tooltip page, and you have a drill through page. And that is what we're going to focus in on, is the drill through page. And if you make this from a standard page into a drill through page, then now we just need to add the data. We want to drill through from, and then we're going to choose the data we want to drill from. And we're going to choose geography, and we're going to choose country. So now country gets added, and if we wanted to filter out a specific country, we could do that. But first, we're going to choose just the country view. So we have by manufacturer, the page type is drill through, and the drill through type is country. So if we go back to the market share page and we select on a country and right click, you can see the drill through option. And the drill through option goes to the map. It says by manufacturer. That's the name of the page that we just created and set up the drill through function. So when we select by manufacturer, once we select on this, this will bring us directly to that by manufacturer page. but it will be drilled into the USA data because that is what we are clicked on. So when we click on that, that'll bring up all of the USA data. And it says here in this is USA. We go up here, it says year 2018. And over here, all of this data is filtered to the USA. And it currently says 567 million. Now, if we click Control click, that'll bring us back to the market share page. So now let's click on Australia, right click, and if we go to the drill through by manufacturer, if you notice, this data all changes. It went from 567 million, because that was the USA sales. Now we have 331 million. This entire chart, the last 7 days, the revenue by country, the revenue growth is all filtered to Australia. And again, we did that by setting up the name of the page. We set it up as a page type of drill through, and we set it up as country. We could choose a different type of drill through. So we're going to delete that country. And if we wanted to set up a filter by product, we could choose a different type of drill through. But we're going to leave it as a country drill through feature. And this will get us back to the market share page. And what we do now is we will choose Europe. We'll right click, choose the drill through, and that'll bring us to the manufacturing page. And the European sales are 34 million. It's filtered through to Germany and all of the analysis. So this way you can quickly set up your drill through functions to see specific data sets. Now we will be doing a video on the tool tips and also on how to set up bookmarks. But this is a look at the drill through feature. It's very handy. You can choose your different drill throughs and you can set up multiple drill through pages if you want to have by manufacturer, if you want to have by product, and you can also take a look at the original market share data. But as you start to build out your reports, remember the report view is the last level of the Power BI building process. After you import your data, then you clean up your data, you make your DAX functions and your formulas and your columns. Part 4 is your data visualization, and then part 5 is your actual report view. So this is your last view, your last step. This is what you do at the very end of your Power BI reports. That is a look at the drill through feature in Power BI. Power BI, the beginner series. Today we're going to talk about the filters pane, and you're going to be using the filters pane a lot. We're going to talk about filtering on a visual, filtering on a page, filtering on all pages, show you how to get the filter pane up on your screen from the view menu, and take a look at those options that have recently changed in Power BI regarding the filters. Of course, filters give you the capabilities to filter by the top N, basic filtering, advanced filtering, and filtering on visuals. Let's take a look at filtering. This is something that you'll want to learn when you're doing your reports and working on your visuals. You're going to want to know all of the different options for filtering, what's available. Let's go to Power BI. Back in Power BI, this time around, we're going to take a look at some of the filter functions, what it means to have filters on a page, filters on all pages, and also where to find the filter section in Power BI. So from the home page of Power BI, we currently have a page set up. I have some different visualizations so we can walk through some of the different filters. Now, you notice on the right-hand side, we have a format pane, and you have a filters pane. And the filters pane is what we're going to concentrate on here. And if you've never been able to get rid of the format pane, you can do that by clicking on this X. And then you can click on the X for building a visual. And now you have your data. And you get to that by showing, if you go to the view pane, you can have your different pane switchers. You can have the format pane. You can have bookmarks. Now it's not showing. Now your bookmarks is showing. So we'll take off the bookmarks and we'll take off the format and we'll X out the data. So that means we have more space on our screen, and all we have now is the filter. And the filter pane, we can even make this bigger by dragging this to the left. So we'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see some of the different options for the filters. Now when you get back, when you unclick on none of the visuals, you have two options. You either have a filter on this page or a filter on all pages. So in this example, we already have these graphs and they are populated. If we want to create a filter that applies to all of the visuals on this page, we will click on the Add Data fields here. And what this will do is we can add the data pane, and we will bring in all of the sales by country. So we'll click on country. We'll delete that. Actually, we're going to click on the country into the filters on this page. Now, if we want to filter it by Canada, we click on Canada and everything on this page changes. If we uncheck, it goes back to everything. All of the data is showing. If we want to select USA, we select USA. So that is an example of filtering on the page. Every visual on the page is impacted. Next, we can do a filter on all pages. So we have 8 or 9 pages in this report. And if we wanted to filter by the country on all pages, we could do that as well. So if I choose Canada, now this page is filtered by Canada. And if I go back to the market share page, it's also filtered by Canada. So that is an example of all the pages in the report. If I go to the manufacturing page, all of the information is filtered by Canada. So that's an example of filtering on all pages. So we're going to remove that by clicking on the X. That will remove filter. Your dialog box comes up. It says remove filter. So we'll remove that filter. And then if we go back up to on the page, we will click on the X to remove that filter. So that is how you clear and add filters to the page or to all pages. Next, we're going to work on some visualizations. So if we click on this visualization, now our dialog box comes up for filters on this visual. And we can choose filter by date, month, quarter, and year, because currently in this visual, that is what the x-axis includes, the date, year, quarter, month, and day. So that is why we have those options. So on this filter, if we want to filter by a year, we go to basic filtering, and now on this one visual only, we will choose 2018. And that will filter that visual for just 2018. If we want to filter for 16, 17, and 18, we check all 3 of those. Now we have 2016, 2017, 2018. So that is a filter by the year. Now, if we want to see a month within that filter, we can select February, and now we see just the data for February in 2016, 17, and 18 on that visual. So we'll uncheck that, and now we're back to the all on that visual. and we can collapse that filter card to get back out. Now for the year, we can also go down and collapse that filter card. So now if we want to filter that visual and see only the Leo revenue by year and manufacturer, if you notice, the legend has all of the different manufacturers. So we can choose Leo, and we can see their trend, 2016, 17, and 18, flat in 2018 over 2017. We could also compare that with Barba and see that for 2016, 2017, and 2018. So you do have some advanced filtering options. So we can show items when it starts with or ends with or is blank or is not empty. If you have some data that is empty, you can also do some advanced filtering. So on this one, we're now going to choose this visual, and we are going to work on a different filter function. So we're going to leave this as all, and we're going to go back up to this visual, and now we are going to filter by adding the additional filter. And let's say if we want to filter by a country on this visual. So we add this country, and now we can bring in Japan, and this has just Japan only on this visual. So that's another option to filter by a country. And you could also bring in a product. So if I wanted to bring in a product, we could bring that as another filter and search just by Abyss MA01. So that's too small to see. There was only one. Let's actually go to a segment. If I delete that product and add the segment, now I can bring in the all season segment, and we have all season, and we have the other filters on just this one visual. Then for this visual, we currently have all of the dates, and for this visual, we currently have by year, but we could also bring in, on this visual, we could add the segment to this visual, and we could bring in all season, convenience, or extreme, and see the different measures for percentage growth. Or we could look at it as just all season for 2014 all the way through 2021. So these are some of the filter options. You know, the best way to learn all of the different filter options is to try them and filter on visuals, filter on pages, filter on all pages. But again, you're trying to design a report that is usable for the end user, and you as the Power BI developer, you want to make these visuals so that they can get and analyze their data easier and break down some of that data by filters and using the page filters and the visual filters. That is a look at the filter function in Power BI.